I did $5,000 plus in sales. And then in May, very next month, I did over $8,000 in sales. And I actually had my first day where I did $1,000 in one day.
Welcome, everybody. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Marlene from San Antonio, Texas, of Texas Fingerprinting LLC. Welcome, Marlene. How's it going?
Hi. Thank you, Dan. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Pleasure to have you. So I'm going to be keeping the audience up to speed today. We're going to be spotlighting your business, your history in fingerprinting, how you got into it, pretty much like a laid-back conversation, your experience in the industry. But I'll ask you a few questions and obviously tell the audience about your business and how well it's been doing, your plans going forward, things like that. So without further ado, my first question, how did you find out about fingerprinting?
Well, I was actually looking for another business to start. And with everything, I always do a bunch of research. So I was researching it and thinking, it's like, well, okay, I think I might be going into this field. So let me take a look at it. And in my research, your video came up. And I was like, fingerprinting, that's interesting. It's like, let me look at that. I listened to your whole video. I went, did more research on it. And I thought, you know what, this is even better than what I was thinking of before. So I scrapped that other idea and focused on fingerprinting. I got a hold of the fingerprinting classes. And I tell you, it was just in less than a month, I was up and running. It's like it was that quick.
Yeah. We try to do it as fast as possible. We try to take hold of that shiny object syndrome.
Right. Right.
Cool.
No, but it was very smooth. You guys took care of so much that as starting a business like this, especially, can be very daunting. But you guys took care of, the website, the equipment, the certifications, even Google My Business. You just basically handed me a business that's ready to go.
Yeah, we kind of like to say, we don't like to say the word franchise. We almost call it like a white label franchise, but our whole idea behind it was, what does everybody need from like 0 to 100? We're just going to do all that stuff because you're going to need it anyway. But thank you for that. I appreciate it. So you said before you had a couple other businesses. So this is not like your first time in business. Like you have a little bit of experience, it sounds like.
Right. Yes. I've been running my own business for, I want to say 7 years prior to this.
Oh, nice. Okay. Excellent. And as far as like the fingerprinting side of things, you said something very interesting before. You were researching another idea and then you found like the fingerprinting market. What about like the fingerprinting market was like very interesting to you that kind of like scratched that itch?
Well, what I was looking at before, the requirements that were for it just seemed very tedious and not enough profit for all the work you had to do. Even though they advertised you make so much money and it's so lucrative, but you're like, yeah, but that's a lot of junk I don't want to have to deal with. And when I came across fingerprinting, it was a very basic concept. It's something that more people than you realize need. Before you think about fingerprinting, you just think, for criminals, just criminal fingerprinting. You don't realize that there's such a huge market for civil fingerprints. Yeah. So in realizing the market that was out there, then I saw the potential. In other businesses, you're pretty much just stuck with what little is out there for you. In this business, and it's happening already. It's not just local. You could expand from one city to another state, to at this point globally. So there's just so much more potential that, to be honest, at the very beginning, I didn't even realize the potential. And I was thinking very small. And once I got in it and seeing how much you can actually do with it, now everything, my mind frame of it has expanded so much that now I can't stop seeing the potential. I can't. I started to want to grow and grow and grow. And it's really something that you can stay small and you can just, do it as a side job.
For sure.
You could definitely do that. But if you're really wanting to really start something that would really work for you, this is the way to go.
Yeah. It's funny, when I first got into the industry, I thought, like everything you just said, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, well, fingerprinting, when you get arrested, you get fingerprinted, but you don't pay, I guess you technically like a couple hours of your freedom, depending on what you did. But like you don't pay, you don't transact that money. I was like, there's no like business for that. And then just like you, I started getting into it and I was like, well, there's background checks, there's FBI background check. The fingerprint cards are crazy. I mean, it's literally like printing money. If a fingerprint card costs like what, like 25 cents or something like that. And you could charge people like 40, 50. So we have some members that charge like $65 for cards. And we're like, and it's like nationwide, like people. So like, I sound like a broken record with this, but in the market, there's an overabundance of demand and not enough supply. And if because you're in San Antonio, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So if you're in like a city with a decent population, starting out, it's like you get everything set up, you pop up that Google My Business, you get your live scan machine. If you're doing live scan, you don't even have to. You just stick with ink. But you start with that and then you get that. Like when you got that first phone call, like that first inquiry, was it kind of just like, like, like this is gonna be something?
No, I tell you, you guys, you basically threw me into the deep end and I had to swim. I kid you not, the very first call that I got, I was freaking out because I still didn't have all the equipment yet. This is how fast you guys are. You had already set up my website. You already had me on Google. People were already looking me up, giving me calls. I'm like, I don't even have my equipment yet. So I had to do it the old fashioned way with just rolling the inks, which was fine. But I freaked out like, oh my gosh, it's like already, like you guys have already started my business, so I wasn't even ready for it. And you guys were like, there you go, so it was awesome. But I remember the first few calls, I was so nervous, thinking, oh my gosh, it's like these people think that I know how to do what I'm doing, and so it was nerve wracking. But, after the first couple of ones, it was like, okay, yeah, I got this. I can do this. And then I got my life.
Like how many? I was gonna say, like, how many did you do before you felt like comfortable with saying, like, yeah, you know what, I could do this? Because the first, like, usually 1, 2, or 3, you're kind of like, but if like, how many did it take you to like feel comfortable with, actually doing the service?
Well, I actually have a few barriers that come with me. Is that I am a huge introvert and I'm very shy. Most people don't know it because I hide it well, but just the fact of having to meet somebody, that right there is already a problem, so it's a lot of having to overcome that within myself. So the actual fingerprinting wasn't so bad. And I remember one of my first clients, when you do the ink, it smears. So you have to be very careful. And I remember my client, and I told him, it's like, be careful. And I want to do it the certain way so it doesn't smear, onto the rest of the card. And he forgot and he grabbed the card and slid it with his fingers all full of ink. And I was like, oh no. So it was kind of a good thing because it made me feel more comfortable that mistakes happen either on my end or your end. And it's okay. We could just redo it. So really, it just took, I want to say maybe like the first 3 before I really felt like, I've got this. And then within the week, I already had my equipment. It was all set up. The people were wonderful, helping me with all the IT issues. And once my equipment was set up, I got further training. And at that point, by the time I got my equipment, because I had already rolled quite a few manually, then it was no big deal. It was simple to just fall into that role.
Yeah, for sure. I always try to say this. to anybody who has like their first appointment or like just doing fingerprinting for the first time, it's always like pretty nerve-wracking, especially because like new business, new service, never done it before. I always tell people, I'm like, that customer is probably the first time they've been fingerprinted too, right? And then people are usually like, oh, that makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, it's different. I was like, nobody knows what's going on. I was like, as long as you have like good customer service and you have a team behind you or like a network of people to say like, hey, listen, how did I do here? Like, is this good? Like, you can bounce ideas off people,
Right.
other people that are in the industry. I always tell people like it's probably their first time being fingerprinted as well. So like it should be fine.
Mhm.
It's not like if you're running a restaurant, like let's say you start up a pizzeria and it's the first time you ever made pizza.
Yeah.
And then somebody comes in, they've eaten pizza, 16,000 times in their life, and then they eat that pizza and they're like, it's not even like that at all. It's like, it's their first time being fingerprinted. It's your first time fingerprinting like a live customer, usually fine. But we get like pretty much the same experience, anywhere between like 3 and 5 for the most part, actually doing the service. Most people say they get it pretty quick after that. The only thing that I see like the next hurdle to jump past is like logistical problems. So like, we had another inner circle member. I believe he's in Austin. He received a phone call for somebody to do a mobile job for him, and they were like 3 states away. And he was like, "Well, I'm gonna have to get on a plane." And listen, for people listening, like this is rare. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm not trying to schmooze anybody on the video, but
Right.
you um, I remember he reached out to us. He's like, "Can you get on?" I was like, well, "Yeah, why not?" He's like, "Are they going to pay?" He's like, "Well, yeah, they're going to pay. They're like a big pharmaceutical company." I was like, "Well, I mean, just charge them." Yeah. So, and he did it a few times. He was like, I had to learn a lot, like what to pack, what not to pack. Like you got to bring everything, things like that. Like what do you carry it in? What type of carry case? So, it's interesting. It's like the more you learn about this industry, the more you realize that there's so much more to learn. Like any other discipline or any other
Right.
business, the potential to learn more and like grow is infinite. Pretty cool. But so to recap, pretty much, it sounds like a good experience. It sounds like you started getting business before everything was even set up, right? And you
Right.
made do.
Right.
Which
Yes.
congratulations, making do with that because that's a good problem to have. But you were able to solve it pretty quick.
Yes, yes. And it really wasn't so bad. It was more nerves of just, having to be one-on-one with somebody and them expecting a certain type of service and making sure that you're up for it. But yeah, the first couple of ones, well, I had already practiced with family. I got everybody. It's like everybody line up. I'm taking your fingerprints. So, you know, so I had already gotten some practice at it. So it wasn't that bad. But yeah, it's pretty nerve wracking at the very beginning, like any new venture that you do, anything that
Yeah,
you
for
do
sure.
new. But I used to work at a huge corporation, Fortune 500 company. And I remember when I got hired there, I had to be fingerprinted. So that just reminded me, it's like, there is really just so many people out there that need it. And when I did it, that was my first time ever being fingerprinted. And a lot of people are in that situation. And it's like now, since then, I've run into so many people. It's like, oh, I do this all the time, which is kind of a way that I can then further promote my services to them and talking to
Mhm.
people, because I get quite a few people. Like I get a lot of traveling nurses, for one. They
Yep.
have to be fingerprinted in multiple states. And when I'm talking to them, they're like, oh, yeah, this is like the fifth time I've gotten fingerprinted. So I just promote my services. It's like, hey, I provide archiving. You don't ever have to be fingerprinted again, and so sometimes just conversations with people leads you into further ways that you can help people. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
in doing this, it's funny because you're like, I provide a service, but so many people are so grateful because since this is their first time doing it, they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do.
Yep.
And I kid you not, the vast majority of the phone calls I receive start off with, I have a question for you. It's because people don't know, so it's like, they think, well, my employer just told me to get fingerprinted. All right. What type of fingerprints do you need? No idea. So yeah, most people have not been fingerprinted, and some of them are shocked that I actually make a business out of just fingerprinting. you know
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always like a good opportunity when somebody comes with no knowledge and they're like, somebody just told me to get fingerprinted, and you're like, all right, I got to play detective now, almost like a consultant. And you got to ask them, like, you got to run down the questions. You're like, all right, is it for a job? Is it for a cert, a permit, a license? And what's it for? And then you're like, almost like a doctor in a doctor's office. If you come in there, it's
Right.
like, hey, my ear hurts, my head's been ringing, and I have a rash on my elbow over here. And you're like, oh, that's this, like super easy. Write a prescription for you, boom, done. And then you get a bill for like $1,000. But for the fingerprinting, that's why we always say like the sales are almost like non-exist. Like it's pretty simple to do it because if you act as that consultant in the beginning and you're the subject matter expert, they're like just take my money, whatever it is. That's why I said the pricing power in
Right.
this business, depending on where you are, it's so powerful because it's not typically something that you have to like really squeeze like money out of and do like the whole sleazy sales thing. It's like, sometimes like you said, people call and they're like, hey, I have a question. Or you might be the third or fourth company or business that they called. And first of all, the other ones probably didn't even answer the phone. Or if they did, it's probably just somebody on the phone saying like, yeah, just come and get fingerprinted. They don't feel comfortable and they're like, well, how much is it? This, but you on that phone, you're like, oh yeah, this, and this. It's that. Come in Tuesday, 2 p.m., whatever. I'll come to you, whether it's mobile and smooth sailing from there. So you've been doing this before when we were talking off camera. You were saying about like 9 months or so you've been in the business.
Right. Right. I've been about 9 months now.
Cool. What's like an interesting story or maybe like an interesting occurrence that you've happened within those 9 months that like sticks out in your head?
Well, like one of the things you brought up, customer service, it is so important
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I get so many clients that come in and they'll say that the reason they came here with me as opposed to one of the competitors, they said was because of the customer service. They say you were so nice on the phone. You actually returned my phone call. I've gotten that one so many times. I've had people say, I left a message with somebody else 3 days ago. They still haven't returned my phone call.
Mhm.
With me, even if they don't leave a message, I look to see what phone number called me because the only time I really can't answer my phone is when I'm already talking to somebody on the phone and then somebody
Right.
else
Yeah.
calls two seconds later. I was like, oh no. So when I miss that second call, as soon as I'm done with my phone call, I call them right back.
I
And
know.
they didn't
Yep.
even leave a message. Just call them right back. Uh, I tell you one story that really stuck out. It was hilarious. It was a man, he was looking for an EFT file for the ATF.
Mhm.
He went to a large company and luckily he knew what he needed because he had done
Mhm.
it before. And like we said, a lot of people sometimes don't know what they need, but he knew what he needed. He went in and he said, I need the EFT file. And the representative was like, no, you don't need that. We'll give you fingerprint cards. And he's like, no, I need the file. And they're like, no, ATF doesn't accept that. We'll just give you the cards. And he's like, no, but I need the EFT file. And then another employee came in and he just said, just take his money. It's like, what?
Like,
so the
oh
guy,
boy.
so the guy walked out and then came to me. Because it's like, wow, I cannot believe the customer service can actually be that bad. And, just recently, you made a video during one of our coaching calls, and you said you were talking about raising prices. And I was like, I can't do that. It's like, oh gosh, that's so scary to raise your prices. And I thought, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call all my competition. I'm going to call everybody that does fingerprinting here, see what they charge. The only person that I could get on the phone charged double what I charge and doesn't even do live scan. They just do ink rolling and charge double. I was like, okay. Everybody else I called either didn't answer, never returned a call,
Yep.
or they had this huge automated line that 20 minutes and I still couldn't even try to request prices.
Yeah.
One person that I finally did get a hold of somebody, they said, I asked, well, how much do you charge? And they said, we don't give you the price until after you book and after everything. I was like, what? And
$10,000, please.
yeah. Yeah. It's like I even have had clients say that they chose mine because my prices are on the website. You call me, I will quote you the price right then and there. So I found it very difficult to get people on the phone to even try to get a quote. And it was just very difficult. A lot of the clients that walk in say that they've tried, calling 3, 4, 5 companies, and I was the only one that they could get a hold of.
It's
so customer service is big.
Yeah. That's that secret shopper method right there. It's so powerful. And then you realize you're like, everybody around me is horrible. Like, I'm increasing my prices immediately.
Yeah, so I will tell you that I did increase my prices after that, after calling around and seeing it's like, I don't have much competition, but the competition I do have, their prices are just wow, it's like out there. And I increased my prices and, still nervous, like, whew, that's, scary to think. It's like, well, people just reject it, say, no, that's way too much. And the very first day that after I increased my prices, a client came in and left me a review saying that I had the best prices in town.
Amazing.
So I was like, wow, Dan was right.
Yeah. I might even say increase it again right after recording this. I'm gonna be like, hey, up at 25%.
Right.
See what happens, right? No,
right.
Interesting. Speaking of pricing, so I've been doing it for about 9 months now in San Antonio. Had some interesting occurrences happen within the business, a lot of learning. What was like your best month to date so far when it came to like making money or revenue?
Well, I tell you, kind of going back a little bit, when I first started, my very first call with fingerprinting classes, they were asking, well, what is your goal? What would you like to achieve? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to think big because, and I wasn't, but I thought I'm going to think big. And I'm like, starting off, if I just make $2,000 a month, that's it, just $2,000 a month, I'm good.
For sure.
It's like that pays my bills. It's like, I'm good. And so my goal was 2,000. And the person actually said, okay, well, you know what? We think you could do that 2,000 a week. I was like, no, that's crazy. That's crazy. I can't do 2,000 a week. But I was like, but all right, whatever. But I still want to do this.
Okay, Mr. Salesperson, you got it.
Yeah. Right, exactly. It's like, okay, it's like you're just talking the big talk. Well, the first month, I just worked from home. I didn't have an office. Now, I did sign up for a virtual office, but just so I could use their address on my website and make it look more professional. But I was really still meeting people at my house and doing mobile. Well, the first month I did close to 2,000, but not quite 2,000. But I thought, but that's okay because this is my first month. My goal is 2,000.
For sure, yeah.
Well, every month was getting better and better and better. And I started meeting people more in the conference rooms here where I had the virtual office. I started with 1 day out of the week, meeting with them here at the offices because these offices are very nice. So it looks very professional. So I was booking conference rooms for 1 day a week. And then I thought, okay, well, let me start 2 days a week. And then at the beginning of this year in January, I said, you know what? I am going to take a chance on myself and I'm going to get an office here. I kind of thought it was a bit pricey, but I said, I'm going to take a chance on myself. I got the office in January. Business immediately tripled. Immediately. It's like now I could offer more hours. It was a central location here in town. Business just started to boom. And every month has basically doubled. And I kid you not, the month, well, we are just at the beginning of the month right now. But in let's see, when was it? In April, I did $5,000 plus in sales. And then in May, very next month, I did over $8,000 in sales. And I actually had my first day where I did $1,000 in one day. Now, remember, my goal was to make $2,000 a month. And now I was making $1,000 in one day.
Yeah.
So
24 hours.
Yes, yes, yeah. So I tell you, because I posted it in our chat group that we have,
Mhm.
Because as soon as you put on there, it's like, hey, everybody, post your wins. I said, well, that was a win for me. So I posted that, and so many people reached out to me. It was wonderful. So many people like, what are you doing? How are you advertising? What's going on with your business? And so it was great. It was great being able to tell people you can do this, because I started thinking what I thought was big. I thought it's like, well, this is this is the bare minimum of what I need to survive, and it's just exploded. And so I now realize, wait a minute, there's opportunities here. It's like I'm doing so much better. And I don't know about you, but it's like I truly believe that my blessings come directly from God. And so I believe that God has just been helping me with all this, because it started off small, each month gets bigger. And I think, wow, it's like I just doubled last month. The next month, I doubled that month. And like I said, I've only been doing this for 9 months. So it's like, I think there's great opportunity out there.
So I totally agree. And hats off to you, because like your success it's yours. Like you made your success. Now it's the new normal. Now let's work on like tripling it. Like let's in a few months let's just keep going. Just keep going from there. Which, speaking of that, you were saying, so your business name, Texas Fingerprinting LLC in San Antonio. Tell me a little bit about, before, when we were talking off camera, how like people are reaching out to you now, and how you're like looking to grow the business even more from there. And although it may be very fast, like you did not miss a beat and not a single second. When you were talking to me before, you were like, oh yeah, now we're going to grow here, we're going to grow there. And I'm like, all right, like we got a plan. Like tell everybody who's watching, like, what's your plan in order to grow and to continue this momentum?
Well, I'm going to start with a mistake that I made, that you actually, in one of your videos, said, don't make this mistake. And I did it anyway, because again, I was thinking too small. Because you said, don't do it like, for your state, in my state, Texas, don't do like Texas fingerprinting.
Oh, right.
Because you could grow. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I was born in Texas. I'm going to die in Texas. I have no plans of going out of state. I named it Texas Fingerprinting, because I thought it's just me. It's just a one-man show here, And in a few months ago, somebody reached out to me. It's like, I didn't even have to go looking for this opportunity. Somebody reached out to me saying, I want to get into this business. I want your help. I said, you know what? Let's do this. So basically, I'm going to be helping them just start off their fingerprinting business. And this is still here in Texas. So I'll be starting a second location. And then just a few weeks ago, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, known him for years, he lives in the New England area. He reached out to me and said, I've been hearing what you've been talking about. I like what's going on with you. I want a part of it. It's like, I want you to help me start a fingerprinting business over here in Vermont. So I was like, okay, there's my mistake. It's like, now I'm going to other states. And my name is Texas Fingerprinting. I'm like, Dan was right again. Darn it.
Well, we only knew that because we've seen it happen before. And, it's really funny, because we tell people that in the beginning and they're like, cross state. And I'm like, believe me. And I was like, it may or may not happen. I was like, trust me. And I was like, I was like, it would be a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, we seen it happen the first time. We're like, all right. Texas Fingerprinting, a great name. And it's probably, attributing a little bit to your success, because you have like, local search engine optimization and things like that. But honestly, super easy thing to solve. Like you can purchase a domain for like $12 a year on GoDaddy. Like you can have like 100 of them. So Not a huge, just reach out to our support team. Like we'll help you out with that. Super simple.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, already in 9 months, I was thinking, from listening to some of the success stories that you feature, people were saying, "Oh, I'm opening a second location, and I've been doing this for a year." I was like, "Wow!" It's like already after just 1 year, and it's like being in it just 9 months. I'm already in a position to be opening two locations, outside of mine. So I didn't even, when I started this, didn't even think this. I was thinking after 1 year, at that point, I'll see where I'm at, and
Mm.
then, process what potential I have. But the opportunities have been coming to me. I haven't even been looking for the opportunities.
Great. Honestly, it's amazing to hear. And for anybody who's watching this right now, if you're thinking about that, where can they reach out to you? Like, what's your business name? I would say, we'll put a link in the description below if people want to reach out to you, but just tell a little bit about like how you're looking to grow and if people are looking to reach out to you, like what you could talk about and what you could help with.
Okay, if they want to reach me, the name of the business is Texas Fingerprinting LLC. I'm out of San Antonio, Texas. You could go on the website and contact me through there. And I would be willing to help anybody start their business. You gave us an opportunity of starting our own business. And then once we have it, then we as individuals have the opportunity to help other people start theirs, which it really is just helping everybody, because we're still going through you to purchase the equipment and still get all the resources that you provide that help us to continue to grow and grow and grow.
Love it. And that's the mission at the end of the day. It's, decentralize it, give it, from these big corporations that are out there that are gobbling everything up, like, we can take some of the slice of that pie too. And there's more than enough to go around for everybody. I mean, there's probably like 500 more businesses that can start up tomorrow and it wouldn't even scratch the surface. So to piggyback
Right.
off of that, if anybody's listening right now, what would you tell them if they were you 10 months ago? Like, what would you tell yourself 10 months ago? If somebody may be watching this right now and they may be apprehensive, they may have second thoughts, what would be your advice to that person who may be watching this right now?
I would say bet on yourself. Take the chance. It's like you can do this. Because starting up the capital that was needed to start up, I was like, it's like that's pricey. And it's like, I don't know. But I took a chance on myself then to sign up and get all the software, get all the equipment, and start this business. So I took a chance on me then. And then in January, I took another chance on myself to get the office space. And every time that I've taken a chance on myself, it has worked out. So I would say somebody just starting in this business, and even if I could go back and tell myself, it's like, take a chance on yourself. You can do it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, listen, Marlene, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear your success. I've learned a few things during this as well. I love doing these. I love what you're doing over there in San Antonio. For anybody watching right now, the link will be in the description below to find out more information. But before we go, what is your goal for the next 9 months? If you're going to say a number, revenue, amount of locations, let's put it out there because we want to help you get there. What would be your goal if you have to put pen to paper?
Well, I was saying that every month it seems to kind of double for me. So earlier in the year, somebody on here had stated that their goal was to make $15,000 a month, which I was like, whoa, like, what are you talking about? So really at this point, I think 15,000 a month. Once I get those other two locations going and the way my business here in San Antonio is growing, I could easily see by the end of the year making $15,000 a month.
100%. And we'll be happy to help you get there. But listen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for hopping on today. For people listening and people watching right now, link in the description below. We'll see you next time.